Welcome to another edition of XFeed. My camera's too zoomed in. There we go. Phenomenal. Welcome and happy Friday. So, how do you even begin to look at the world right now when we're having maybe the craziest times ever, and specifically within governmental organizations? Now, you might say, all right, I'm talking about the US, but there's some clips coming out of the Canadian government that are absolutely unreal and shows there's a lot of people that are in positions that aren't educated, aren't qualified, aren't anything. The world of transparency is opening up. And part of that starts with blockchain. Part of that starts with info. We're getting this info-fi as a new verbiage. We had deep in for a while. Now it's infi. It's info-fi, infi, one or the other. Anyway, we're going to go over a whole shellacking of good stuff, and I want to thank you very much for tuning on in. All right, my face is still way too big. All right, we're gonna shrink it just a little bit. All right, Zagabon from Mizuki saying the world will consume quality Web3 intellectual property for all angles. From they'll see kid-friendly content from Claynosaurs, memes and toys from Pudgy Penguins, music and culture from Doodles, anime and fashion from Mizuki. The IP supercycle is in motion. Now, I do have to give credit that I think there's a fair amount of IPs that have done something within the Web3 realm and have started to maybe break the barriers just a little bit. However, when I think of Mizuki, I don't think of fashion whatsoever. I know they did the jackets before, but what are we talking about here? Is Mizuki doing anything within the clothing industry? I feel like they did the skateboard auction where they had all these massive gold skateboards that were going for thousands upon, I think even hundreds of thousands of dollars at a point. And a cool jacket, but I didn't think Azuki was for that at all. But further to that, they say they missed the old Azuki from 2022. The reality is, if we stayed the same, we'd be dead. So before we read on, when they're saying the Azuki from 2022, that if they stayed the same, they'd be dead. I'm trying to remember, and I wasn't like an Azuki holder. I've told the story before, but I tried buying one, and then somebody bought the one I was trying to, because their transaction went first, and then I was like, whatever, I'm not going to buy one. I think in 2022, it was the companion collection. I was trying to think of the correct terminology to use with that, where you would just drop a secondary collection because the first one was in such demand off of the hopes, the promises of things, and the royalties were just absolutely insane. So is this saying that we couldn't continue to keep airdropping? Is this saying that we couldn't keep hosting events? Because I know they did one or two in LA at a point where I think they dropped the beans, like land or something at one point, or like a crate that we thought was land, but it was like another character. Back then, royalties were flowing and the playbook was different. Sticking to that model is a losing strategy. Instead, we expanded further on our vision for an open anime universe. Anime.com is on its way to becoming the #1 fandom platform for 1 billion anime fans. Anime Coin is trading on major exchanges with nearly 200 million volume in the past 24 hours, onboarding new holders daily, and Azuki is the branded community leading the way. So again, I don't know if this is just like a title off the bat to try to like get your attention and say, well, if we're, back what we did, we wouldn't be the same. Well, like, yeah, I mean, everybody couldn't just keep doing companion collections because everybody realized like pretty quickly that like there was no point in that. And then even to that, they still went and they did another collection on top of the beans. They did the elemental. So we'll see. VIP, oh wow. Not sure how we go through this, but that being said, World of Women has a brand new CEO that is trying to bring out the vibes. So interesting to see. Yam was the CEO for a while, done interviews with her before. Not sure if they're just taking a step away, if they're going in a complete different direction. I know that they did a gala not that long ago. But World of Women, listen, Azuki's doing everything, getting 1 billion anime fans. World of Women's bringing in a new CEO, trying to crush what they do. I mean, things are looking interesting and in a positive direction, if you will. 1.28 million X-copy sweep coming through. People are out there feeling bullish, wanting to buy the goods. That's what it's seeming like. People are willing to spend. And then Tim Sweeney saying, hey kids looking to play Fortnite, try this crypto and stock trading instead. Rated for ages 4+, courtesy of Apple App Store ads. When I first read this, I thought he was hacked. And then I realized he was making fun of the Apple App Store because there was this whole blowout of them charging like 30% on fees that were taking on their platform. All this crazy, crazy shenanigans that were going on. But kind of funny to think about, too, that they have an app, right? Where I guess they're advertising Kraken here, which is a crypto exchange, but then saying that it's age 4+. The crypto... what are the requirements on crypto exchanges? That's actually a good question. I don't know. Like, I'm assuming they have to KYC, but gambling, I know there's restrictions. Is crypto not considered that? We found the loophole. Spencer here with maybe the craziest tweet I've seen in 2025 in terms of insights, interest, and just coolness, to be totally frank with you. Did you know that wallets containing moonbirds, which was the collection that he acquired that was a part of Yuga, after Kevin Rose raised $100 million, Yuga bought it and then instantly sold it. But did you know the people that are holding a moonbird hold a total of $1.37 billion worth of crypto? And the average holder wallet has a portfolio size of $233,000. Holy sugar. I'm trying to think of all right, well, I mean, what if these are botted? What if these are put in certain wallets? And I'm trying to figure out what's a way that we could discredit this. And I don't think there's a way, because that average is insane. Even if we said that average was half of what it was at 133,000, that's still insane. So when we make the arguments, and I'll put my hand up, I was kind of in that camp of saying, well, who the hell wants moonbirds? What's going on with that? Well, I mean, there was a lot of people that really liked moonbirds back in the day. Maybe some of the wallets are dead, but I think there's a lot of people that are active within the space. And I might add that this would also maybe sort of highlight the fact that there's people sitting on a ton of cash. Now, is this saying, okay, well, maybe all of that is in particular NFTs that have some sort of a bid? Is this saying they're liquid within certain currencies? Obviously, this is kind of like a bundled package when you're looking at it. But I don't think you're bullish enough. And then we got Allen Iverson, who's getting shown off. The NBA Top Shot moment. Somebody designed a physical device to show off those moments, and they're getting Allen Iverson to sign them with a blue pen. The only thoughts that I really have with this, other than it's cool and collecting is progressing, if you will, is the video I think is underrated right now. We talked about music NFTs the other day. But when you think of going online, how much do all these social media platforms try to force you essentially to create video content, or consume video content is probably the better verbiage to use here. It's forced everywhere. X is doing it. They have the TikTok shorts, YouTube shorts. Sure, not everybody's maybe watching long form content. But again, NBA Top Shot moments, that's quick, short content right there. But it's collectible. So what do we see in terms of the video realm with collectability? Feels like NFL All Day, NBA Top Shot, NHL Breakaway. Some of those things are starting to find traction. Obviously, some of those a little bit bigger than other ones. But something to watch and see if there's any more of a, awareness level, or trying to take videography and make them more collectibles. For movies, imagine they did Lord of the Rings scenes as NFTs. Would that be a hit? Where's Warner Bros. At? YouTube has removed support for every iPod Touch in its latest update. Shit! I remember having an iPod Touch. That's tough. That's tough. YouTube no longer on those? Nah, it's crazy. Or maybe they mean by support, there's no updates. Maybe you can use the app in a basic function sense. But damn, that takes you back in the day. So, this is weird, where I don't know why this is even a thing. So, the Ndai, the co-founder of Sui Network, made this tweet. It was completely out of the blue, saying, Mom, I want a Claynosaurus pack, which is on Sui Network. Says, Mom, we have packs at home. Saying the mom's telling the kid, well, no, we're not going to buy packs because we have. It's like me asking for a pizza when I was younger. My parents are like, we have food at home. And I'm like, I don't care. I want pizza. But then the response is the packs at home. And it shows off an abstract collection of, I think this is a made up pack that somebody just did as an example. Because, packs that can be a Top Shot. We've seen around BZ. There's other collections we've seen that are trying to do these pack rips of some sort. And so basically, it's a massive dig at abstract as you're the co-founder of Sui. And so Finn responds saying, personally, I'd be more focused on the 400 million exploit on my chain than trying to talk shit about an unrelated crypto project, but that's just me. Either way, cringe behavior of the co-founder. I agree. This feels like completely out of the blue, but last week we were talking about how apparently there was certain influencers or whatever that were paid to not talk about certain networks or talk badly about certain networks, which I don't know. Going back to the trust and transparency thing, the world is about to get flipped on its head, and we're going to be here to cover it all, baby. One of the big notions, I think, with blockchain, and something that you could maybe even argue in terms of like when you're trying to sell somebody, hey, you know, like jump on chain and do all this stuff because it sounds stupid, and then you know like here, you know, there's an opportunity potentially to make money. That was it for a point, and there's opportunities to be first movers within stuff, but this is kind of like a more like legitimate example of Flow blockchain here. Now, Flow, again, people that have a whole bunch of massive IPs that are on the chain, like Disney Pinnacle, the various sports ones that we've been talking about a little bit here a moment ago, but they are now having Flow community rewards, and we've seen this within the root reward system. We've seen this in almost every chain that's starting to come out. Abstract with their XP points. The list goes on. And all of these platforms are trying to incentivize you to use them. Now, are these incentivizations going to be there forever? Similar to how like when Uber started, you could get rides very cheaply, or DoorDash when they, you know, have coupons, do whatever else, try to get you hooked initially. Now, it's not going to be forever, but right now, blockchains are offering a whole ton of stuff. So all you need to do is get involved. Just feel, you know, things are getting bullish. So they're swearing in this clip. I want to preface that. So if you got kids in the room, pause for a moment. It's a giant F-bomb. But one thing that I don't grasp very well or comprehend, trying to think of the right verbiage. People say that retail is not in crypto. I say, nah, that's a terrible take. If you watch streamers that are in esports, that are just, if you talk with younger people in general, I think you would be shocked at how many people are into NFTs, crypto, whatever. Now, are we talking massive ass portfolios or anything? No, not necessarily, but I think you'd be just shocked to know how many people aren't open about it but are involved. So here's an example. So there's this Jason guy who is a notable streamer, and he's on this podcast, and he brings up the Logan Paul NFT. So here's a quick clip.
You know, I made money off of CryptoZoo.
Shut the fuck up.
I swear. I had minted it, and then I instantly sold it and made money.
You're lying.
No, I'm not. It's on my OpenSea. I can show you.
You really made money off that? Yeah, you're like one of the only ones made money off that?
No, it's because I minted it, and I instantly just put it on the market, and then people were buying quick as fuck.
Like, how much did you make off that?
I don't remember exactly, but
We're talking about Logan shit.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Unbelievable. Yo, Martin GM Crypto Auntie, just here to say hi and appreciate your work. Well, thank you so much for coming on through. Hope you're having an absolutely wonderful Friday. But this is what I'm talking about. If I was just gonna like play a video of this person, be like, take a guess. Do you think they're in crypto or not? You'd probably be like, nah, I don't know. But you know, it is a thing where it feels like almost everybody is out there getting involved. Yo, Jeff, what's going on? So I seen Jeff, I seen this thing the other day, and there was like certain words that go with Jeff, and you could just like change it, and it works great. So like instead of saying definitely, you say Jeffinitely. So you got to keep that up. But yo, what's going on? Hope you're doing well. So again, this is kind of crazy, right? It's crazy. Now, Luca Nets posted this the other day where it was a bald eagle, a penguin, a light bulb, an eye, and a soon. Right? So apparently in America, the bald eagle is not like the national animal or whatever, the national bird. It's a penguin, which I don't understand that whatsoever. But hell yeah. Yo, Trolly McTroll, what's going on? How are we? And then also some other news regarding Pudgies. This is interesting. On June 5th, which was yesterday, this Pudgy Party Battle Royale, and they got some collect costumes. Looks pretty decent, but then you got Bo, this head of security over there, saying August 29th, 2025. So We got a couple of days. We got a couple of days, baby. But we got some games coming through. And again, I've been complaining about like just entertainment in general within the Web3 space, and these are the sort of things that I'm loving to see. And even if it isn't like a home run, oh my God, this is the best experience ever, I think we just have more things, right? Everything doesn't need to be this giant, oh my goodness moment. It just needs to be entertainment quality that people are going to enjoy. If you missed it, Pixel Vault sold a bunch of CryptoPunks. Holy smokes. So 930 ETH. If you're not familiar with this, how do I do like a quick TLDR? So Pixel Vault was one of the very, very first movers within the craze phase of 2021. Because I was going to say like NFTs as a whole, but that's like disingenuous because it was several years before that. But Pixel Vault got really, really hot. And this was around the time that Bored Ape Yacht Club was coming out. This was around the time that like Cool Cats was originally Inception, like kind of all around that time. And the idea with it was that they were going to build out IP around these various characters. So they built comics and they wanted to do a AAA game, which I saw today. I was checking out their Discord and they said that they were in works for the AAA game, but then the partner that they had for that backed out. But I don't think they've ever said anything publicly regarding that not happening. And then like there was further conversation about the fact that to get that money back, it would cost millions, years, and essentially be not worth it. But I'm like, man, if somebody screws you over and you have like a huge community that way, I feel like it's sort of weird not to like kind of, like throw them under the bus pretty publicly and say, hey, listen, we had all this lined up. We probably lost funding on this too. Cause there's a whole bunch of horror stories out there, but that's beside the point of the conversation. But they decided on the fact that their DAO is essentially shutting down, similar to the Ape Chain DAO, because Founders DAO was one of these early ones where they had a whole bunch of super rare NFTs. They had a slew of punks here. They sold some of the rarest NFTs to go buy like a ticker on Hyperliquid, which hasn't really aged well, but maybe it does at some point. So anyway, when they made this set of punks, you had to sell them as a group because a lot of people were saying, well, what the hell? Why are you selling as a group? Like, do them individually. Somebody coming up with like $2.4 million. That's tough out. You know what I mean? Times are tough type of deal. 2.4 million. Oh my God. But that being said, they sold it for that amount. A couple of them have already sold, and it turned out to be about 58 ETH per punk, which either way, still insane, but adds to the lore here within Web3. So continuing a little bit on the DAO talk, because again, these punks were associated with that and what Pixel Vault is doing. Ape Chain, it's been an absolute nightmare. And for Pixel Vault, they had this vote where now they're doing like a big party in Vegas, putting a whole bunch of money into that, and then they're basically dissolving the DAO. And Ape Chain still has a little bit of money left for it, but it's kind of the same problem. There's a lot of things that people submitted, got approved for funding, and then basically nothing happened to it. So Garga here, CEO of Yuga, saying, I heard a ton of feedback on my post below, and I haven't seen near unanimous support like this for anything in a long time. Everybody hated the DAO. People want to kill the ApeCoin DAO. True. This AIP proposes just that. It's time for leaner, faster orgs to take the reins. And also, just kind of crazy to think about like the amount of hires that teams did once they got a bunch of funding and had really kind of any real, traction, ability, vetting people. There's a lot of ways. So maybe Web3 gets a little bit better. Okay, so I'm not going to go through like this entire bill, right? Because we're not like really a political show whatsoever. But I thought this was crazy and it came up. So, and this is in Canada. If Bill C2 passes, it will become a criminal code offense for businesses, professionals, and charities to accept cash donations, deposits, or payments of $10,000 or more. Okay, so this would be like a realm of like, okay, so cash is not king? Going to be illegal if you have like a certain amount of it? These are just the things you question, right? And I don't want to go into it too much, but also, finding about value, worth, and everything. And then you're having bills where they're saying, yeah, those bills of cash, if you have too much of it, that's illegal, or you're not able to do it, even in like a multitude of string of like not one-time payments. So if I'm giving you like $1,000 10 times and it's cash, that's illegal. If that bill passes, listen, it's really weird. It's really weird because we're at a time where I feel like the older generations are like, yo, I love cash. I hate places that don't have cash offerings and are like cashless only, where I feel like younger people are like, yeah, I'd prefer cashless only because I just straight up don't own cash. It's weird. Things are changing. Are you paying attention, Anon? That's the question. Time to drop the really big bomb from Emmett. Now, the question is, do you think this is actually a big bomb or not? The Solana mobile phones have both the Solana DApp store, centralized app store, and the Google Play Store. But people don't know it. That is the real reason it can be a daily driver, not just a crypto burner. Have a nice day. So again, I ordered one of these. I don't know how the hell it works. Do I buy like a SIM card and then like stick it in it? Or do I take it around, record videos, do whatever? I don't know what I'm going to do with it because I don't necessarily need a new phone. I bought it a year ago. Still don't have it, but it's supposed to be shipping out this month. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I mean, is that like a big bomb? Is that like cool? But what exactly does it mean more so? That is the question. But again, we're seeing a lot more mobile first type of adoptions. Speaking of mobile, here's Uber.
I understand that you are considering stablecoin as a vehicle for Uber. Talk about where your considerations are and how that might benefit your business.
Yeah, we're still in the study phase, I'd say, but I think stablecoin is one of the, for me, more interesting instantiations of crypto that has a practical benefit other than crypto as a store of value. You know, obviously, you can have your opinions on Bitcoin, but it's a proven commodity. And you know, people have different opinions on where it's going. But I do think that stablecoin is quite promising, especially for global companies that are moving money around globally to create a mechanism for us to essentially reduce costs.
Okay, so first of all, I don't know who the hell the Uber guy was. Hold on, he had his name up in here, right? Where was it? Okay, nothing. Dara. D-A-R-A. Dara. Made the point within that, if you notice, saying, well, some people don't like Bitcoin. I think that we're at like a point where I don't even know if we need to say that anymore. Like I'm super aware of that, and usually whenever I pitch something, I try to be like, all right, well, hold on a second. There's going to be people that are like super against this, and I'm going to end up turning them away, being like, hey, I believe this, that, or the other thing, right? And he made that comment, say, well, you know, like it's a proven commodity, but listen, I understand people don't like that, and that's okay, right? And it's funny because when you hear that stuff, you're like, all right, I understand, I'm on your side, but I understand the audience you're going for. So if Uber picks up stablecoins, who else is going to do that? What does this also directly affect for the MasterCards, the Visa, the payment processors? How many of them want to do their own stablecoin, where we know that PayPal has tried to do that and be one of the first movers with it? What do, you know, these, like for like Stripe as an example or whatever, for those payment processors, do they then do their own variation of a stablecoin, or do they partner with Ripple USDC, USDT? They work with Tether for USDC. And if you don't know all these terminologies, it's basically like the US dollar, but different companies that are issuing their own variation of the tokenized dollar. Which, speaking of tokenized things and real world assets, we do the RWA Segments podcast. True. So if you check out the link down below, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to check out a slew of episodes. We have the team from XDC on next week. If you've ever used Coinsbee, which is a platform that you can actually use cryptocurrency to purchase gift cards, I had a friend that reached out and they were like, yo, do you know you could do this? And I had no idea. I spent like $20 and I got like a League of Legends skin. And I was like, holy crap, I can't believe this works. So if you're curious about how real world assets are being tokenized, from real estate to watches to stable coins, all that kind of crazy stuff, we do go over it within that particular podcast. And if you aren't on YouTube, if you're following me on X, you can check that out in the bio, or just type in RWA Segments to find that on any podcasting platform. Today, during Crypto Garga, on his OS Discord, we asked him pretty simple. Okay, this is some ChatGPT wonkiness at the beginning of it. Anyway, Garga talking about other side here, which again, this is the big metaverse platform. And for people that are in Futureverse, I have a thesis, and I might be completely wrong with this thesis, but I don't know very many people that are trying to be the metaverse, right? So we have Wilder World that was like, I thought supposed to be like kind of a single instance, but now they're using the verbiage that like, oh, we're a metaverse. Other side, we know like Hard, Fast, True. Yep, they're wanting to be a metaverse. We know with Futureverse, they're working with the Readyverse team to be the metaverse. We have Schillerverse. What's going on? So is there a time where, similarly to how we saw everybody launch companion collections, that when we have the metaverse companies that are competing against each other want to kind of launch their stuff at the same time. Is it going to be competition? Is it going to be, hey, we're trying to show something better than you? I don't know what to expect, so don't like quote me or anything on that, but I think that there's going to be kind of the cycle that we saw where people are trying to follow each other, or maybe it's perceived following each other versus just, trying to have competition, which I think we saw in the video game industry when battle royales really, really took off. But anyway, too much yapping. Goal is to continue to iterate on Other Side as a platform. That means our own first-party games and experiences, but also things that other people can build and monetize. Goal is to get AAA game devs building and monetizing on the platform. Very hard to predict what will be successful and sticky as a game. So having a lot of swings at bat in the form of a bunch of different folks building what they want is important. So again, all that sounds great, but it also kind of highlights like you want people that are building on it. And these are the questions that we have. We have a huge saturation of tokens, right? That was the first thing that you kind of noticed. And then NFTs, it started getting more saturated as well. And now we're at a point of there's a saturation of chains and or opportunities, I guess, right? So if there's somebody out there that you're an actual builder of some sort, where do you go? Who do you work with? Who has the best incentives? Who has the best communities? Who's going to be able to help you the most within it? There's all these questions that come up as we go down the line. All right, look at this. I'm never going outside again. Yo, Martin, McTrolley, Crypto Anthem, I'm never going outside again. We're driving down the wrong way. What are we doing? Unreal. Intel, Apple, X, Airbnb, and Google are in early talks with crypto firms to explore stablecoin integration. So we just saw Uber. Now we're seeing a couple of the other giants. I guess all of these are bigger than Uber, right? Like Apple, X, Airbnb, and Google. Yeah, I think they're all bigger than Uber. But stablecoins, RWAs, the narrative around that stuff. Listen, things are happening. And if you're not bullish, well, just a reminder. The Circle IPO, they came out and they were like, yeah, it's going for like, what, $30? And now it's selling for like over 100. It's a 4X for the people that bought it. We covered it on the show. You could buy it and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I didn't buy it, but we watched it. And I was listening to Bill Noble last night. And his thought on it being like up 130% or whatever, he's like, well, this just means that the crypto market is undervalued by 130%. Now, whether that's true, a little bit of hopium, focusing on one particular thing, but stablecoins getting adopted, what happens elsewhere? You look at Ripple, they're trying to do it. Who else is going to try to make their stablecoin match the likes of USDC, USDT? It's going to be a war, and we're here, going to cover it all. That's it for this edition of XFeed. Hope you enjoyed it. Go Bulls. If you're bullish on things, if you're a bear, well, I mean, you do you. But with that being said, would love for you guys to like the episode. If you're on any of the platforms that do that, retweet, share it. Hell yeah. Appreciate you. Enjoy your weekend. I'll see you on Monday. Peace.